that maximize screen button, and then that will maximize everything. Okay, so with all of that said, let's go ahead and jump into the content here today. We're going to be talking about 3 sites or 3 tools that we at the Center for Farm Financial Management, of which the BFRDP Clearinghouse is housed, and of which I'm a member. We're going to be talking about 3 tools here today that really are tools that we hope that you all could use in your programming. And then if you're a farmer watching this later, if someone has shared that with you, that you could actually use in your operation. The first one, and probably one that you've heard of already, and maybe you've played around with, is AgPlan. That is one of the sites that, and actually I'm just going to go ahead and jump over to the site itself. AgPlan is an online business planning tool that is completely free and has lots of templates for you to be able to go in and create a business plan specific to your business. We have lots of content about why you should do that, and I'll show you a few resources there. But if we just go to agplan.umn.edu, you can actually come in, and you can actually kind of look at the site here. If you've not registered, you're just going to click that register today button. If you click that, that will ask you for a little bit of information, not too much, just so that we can, help you out if you get locked out or anything like that. I've gone ahead and I've created an account and I've logged in. I'm in on my plans section of AgPlan. And you can see I have lots of plans here. Some of them are testing, some of them are, actual plans. And then I am also added as a reviewer. I've been helping out a couple classes here at the University of Minnesota who use AgPlan in their actual 16-week curriculum. So we actually go in and help them set up AgPlan, but then also teach them how to use it. And so I've been added as a reviewer for many of those plans. I'm going to scroll back up. Once you're in AgPlan, the real power of AgPlan is that we have specific templates for types of businesses. So I'm going to click on Start a New Plan. And once I come into here, we have these 5 templates that are set up. We have the ag commodity. So that's more of a traditional type of farming enterprise. You're not doing anything really that crazy with marketing, or you're not really doing anything that's just kind of out there. The next one is ag value added. That really is where you're doing something on the farm, but then you're adding in some value added. So maybe you're making jam and you're selling the jam, or you have agritourism. That one's really kind of the classical one that we see in AgPlan. But you're doing something that's, like it says, it's value adding to your farming enterprise. So that's the ag value added. If you are looking at transitioning to organic, for example, I see Dave Reed and Tim Ennis on the call here today. I worked with them on doing a program where we presented to people who were looking at going into organic production, transitioning over into organic production. We have a business planning type that we've actually worked on with many partners here in the state of Minnesota who have really kind of been guiding many people into that organic transition and helping them figure out how to get there. Then we have a personal plan. So if you are, if you don't have a farming enterprise, or you are just working on what your own personal development plan might look like, or your personal career plan might look like, that's what you would actually go into, and you can write that plan. And then we have the small business plan, which is targeted not towards an agricultural business, but any type of small business that's out there. So you can actually go in and do that. And why we have these different templates, and I'm going to go ahead and select ag value added. And why we have these different templates is because there are tips and resources that are specific to each of these plan templates. So I'm going to just go ahead and call this, I have to give it a name, and then I have a few little things I need to select. So I'm going to create my plan. It's going to take me back to my plan section, that front page when you first log in. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on View Plan. That will take me into the business plan that I just created. And now over on the left-hand side, we have this whole outline. I'm going to click Collapse real quick because we have set up each plan template or each template to have these headings. We've got a cover page, executive summary, business description, operations, marketing plan, management and organization, and then the financial plan. And underneath each of these, if I just click on the financial plan, underneath each of these are subsections. And you can see for the financial plan, we've got financial position, historical performance, financial projections, asset management, benchmarks, and then our capital request. And we have all of these set up, not because we want everyone to fill out each and every one of these sections. On the contrary, we think that no one is going to use all of these sections. We add them so that people can use the sections that are applicable to their business. So financial position, that one might be applicable to each and every farm type. It's just looking at the balance sheet. But all of these subsections are then specific to whatever template that we are choosing. For example, the marketing plan under an ag commodity template would not have near these many subsections. But if you're doing an ag value added or a small business, you're going to need to be thinking about marketing, and you're going to need to be thinking about who your customer base is. And so we have all of these sections that are kind of lined up here for each of those sections. As we move over to the right-hand side, the text box entry here is really just a text box. So I could just start typing. And as you see, I'm just typing in our marketing plan is, and then we have all of the word functions, word processor functions that you could use to be able to make this look the way that you want it to look. So if I wanted to just highlight marketing plan and I wanted to bold, italicize, and underline, I could do that. I could also make that a little bit bigger. Let's make that 32 size. And then we could also add color to it. So if I wanted to make it purple, I could highlight it and make it purple. So we have all of these different word processing features that are there so that people can actually go in and actually write their plan. Then down below, if I just scroll down just a little bit, we have tips. We have a tip for each of the sections and subsections within AgPlan, and they're specific to whatever template that you're looking at. So for example, we're under marketing plan, and you can see where we're at by just seeing the highlighted blue box. And then the tip, you can see that we have a video in here that will tell you kind of what to expect with this section and what to put into there. The next section, or the next tab that we have, is the resources tab. And let me actually just pick on the financial plan here, because I know we have more. Let's go to financial position, because I know we have more resources that are specific to that section. So for example, we have, looks like 5 resources that are here. And again, we could click on each of these. That would take us to whatever that resource is. If it's a video, you could actually click on the video and watch it right here in AgPlan. The next thing we think that is pretty important to being able to write a business plan is to have a sample, something that you can look at to kind of get an idea of what other people might have been writing. So under the samples, if I click on the Lakeshore Orchard, you can actually see what the sample had for this specific section. So you kind of get an idea of what things are there to look at. All right, so the next section is comments. So right now it kind of looks a little bland, but I could add a comment here, and I could just add a note that I want to come back and think about. So add PDF of balance sheet. So that's great that I just added that note for me to come back and look at. But one of the real powers of AgPlan is the ability to add a reviewer, to give someone access so that they can come in and review the plan in AgPlan, or if they're a partner or someone else, you can actually give them access so that they can write the plan. So I'm actually going to click on the red X right here, which will save my work and then take me back to my plan section. Then once that loads, I'm going to click on the reviewers. And I have Rachel Purdy, who's another economist with us here at the Center for Farm Financial Management. And I'm going to add her email address. Now she's registered in AgPlan with that email address, but if she wasn't, she would get an email invitation saying, hey, you're invited to be able to register for AgPlan and then review my plan. I'm going to give her comment and edit access here because I want her to be able to go through and actually edit the plan itself, but you can actually just say only comments, and I'm going to click add reviewer. And you can see that she has been added to my list. So I'm going to return to my plans here. And now I'm going to go back into my plan by clicking view plan. And now it's going to take us back to that section that we were just in. So again, financial position, but now I have a new tab. I can click on email reviewers and I can actually email Rachel right from within AgPlan. I can click her name and I can say, please review my balance sheet. And if I want to include the comments, I can click yes, and then I can then send it. And then that will send her an email, and you can see what that email sent from within AgPlan is right here. So there are some nice features that are there. The way that you navigate through the site, if you haven't caught on to that, you can actually just click anywhere in the outline, or you can click on the green buttons here, previous and next. And also this middle button in between the previous and next, that is the save button. So if you're working on a section that's pretty long, you might want to just hit save every once in a while. It's still a word processing document. All right, so then we have these buttons in blue just underneath here. The pencil button is just where we're at. That's editing the plan. The next button is all comments. So you can see all of the comments that have been added to the plan. Right now, we only have one. I'm going to skip the middle one and go down to the paperclip button. If I click that paperclip, I can actually add attachments, PDF attachments. So I'm going to call this one the balance sheet, and let's see where that decides to open up. I'm going to add, I have got way too many things on here, but I'm going to go ahead and just add a document here. I'm going to click add attachment. And now it's added that attachment. So if you've developed a balance sheet through FinPack or through the AgPlan financial spreadsheet that's available in AgPlan, you can actually print that as a PDF and upload it here to your plan. Then we're going to go back to the print button. Once we click on that print button, I'm going to leave this as business plan only, and I'm going to click view print plan. So once we've worked on that plan, and a business plan is never really done. It's a living document. It's one that we want you to come back and review every so often. But now we actually have where you can download it as a Word version, or you can download it like if you want to send it to your lender, you could actually click on that, and that's going to download. And then you can see that the business plan has been created. Now we don't have very much in this, but you can see what sections we do have. So we have the marketing plan, and then we have a list of the attachments, and this is actually what I attached. So you can actually see anything that was uploaded as a PDF is going to be uploaded or attached to the end of that tool, or the end of that business plan. So the other thing that I want to show you here, and you saw that in some of the tips, there are some specific resources or some specific videos that are for each of kind of the main headings. However, but if you're curious about how to write a business plan, we actually have a course called Developing Your Business Plan, which you can actually find on the front page, not logged in version of AgPlan, but if in the upper bar here, just to the left of where it says log out, if you click on that, that will open a new tab, and it will actually take you to a course that Rachel and Katie Johnson and I from here at the Center for Farm Financial Management just finished recording. And it will actually give you some tips on how to write specific sections of your business plan. So, and then you can actually there's 15 videos here. I think the longest one is, let's see, the longest one looks to be about 6 minutes and 15 seconds. So they're not very long, but you can actually go and just watch all of those. All right. So I know I threw a lot at you about AgPlan. hopefully if you have questions, you can actually just reach out to us at any time. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions. But are there any questions that you guys have at this point before we move over to Ag Transitions? Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Rachel Purdy, who's going to talk about Ag Transitions.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Curtis. So as Curtis mentioned, I am Rachel Purdy. I am also an extension economist with the Center for Farm Financial Management out of the University of Minnesota, and I'm happy to be here with you all this afternoon. So as Curtis mentioned, I'm going to be going over Ag Transitions. And the nice thing about Ag Transitions is that it is very similar operationally to AgPlan, which is what Curtis just went over. And Ag Transitions is available for free at agtransitions.umn.edu. And so like in AgPlan, Ag Transitions does have a complimentary training video series. And this video series is done by myself and a few extension educators from the University of Minnesota, both Amber Roberts and Megan Roberts. And so on these videos, we discuss kind of the philosophy behind what transition planning looks like. And we have a video available for each of the major sections in AgPlan. And like Curtis had mentioned earlier, the videos aren't very long. The longest one's about 4 minutes long. So it's a quick overview for transition planning. And I already have an account, so I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And I have several plans already made. So these are two of them that I own personally. And you can see on this transition plan, I have a reviewer already set up. And then over here, I review 3 plans. 3 people have given me access to review plans. And so if I were to go ahead and click into one of these plans, it should feel very familiar to what you saw in Ag Transitions. I'm going to go ahead and click the Expand All button here at the top left, and that will expand all of these subsections. And so you can see the green leaf icon indicates that there is content within that subsection, meaning that I have written something in there. And if I look through, we have kind of a few main sections within, but then subsections within each of those. So the getting started is just this cover page. But we have personal information, and in this section, we ask people to lay out who they are, what they have, what's that business look like today, and anybody that helps them along the way, like their advisors. This is helpful for transition planning, just because it gives everybody a starting point of what's going on. And if I go into the vision and goals section here, this is somewhere where reviewers can be very helpful. If you're working with a business, especially a family business, looking to transition into the next generation, this is a place where you can add different reviewers and let the successors actually lay out what their vision is, what their goals are. And then that can facilitate that family meeting of where everybody's at and where we want to get. And within each of these sections, we do have tips, resources, worksheets, and a sample plan that I'll go over here in just a little bit. In the business transfer plan, this is where we start really laying out the nuts and bolts of what do we want to accomplish and how we're going to actually pass this business to the next generation, even down to further details if necessary. And the nice thing about both this and AgPlan is that these business owners do not need to use every section. They can use as many as they want, of course, but they certainly don't need to use them all. And just because when we think about retiring from a business, passing a business on, and this whole transition and succession plan, oftentimes that goes hand in hand with that retirement plan. And so this gives people an opportunity to lay out what retirement would look like for them personally, even down to sources of income, where they're going to live, etc. The final piece of AgTransitions is this estate plan preparation. And throughout all of AgTransitions, the thought process behind this is that this is not a substitute for professionals such as a lawyer or an accountant. What this is a way to be prepared for when you do go speak to your attorney and get that will written, and just to save on those billable hours, so we don't have to spend a couple hours talking about what we have and where we want to get. And so this is just a way to get a jump start on that. I'm going to hop back into the business transfer plan section into to the financial viability, just to illustrate some of these tips, resources, worksheets, etc. So every section has tips, which is usually just about a short paragraph describing what we envision this section being used for. The next subsection here is resources. And so throughout all of these resources, these are just links. And so like this is a link to IFSAM, which Curtis will be talking about in just a moment, developing and interpreting your financial statements and measures. The next tab is worksheets. And so these are typically downloadable forms or activities to help people think through each of these sections. I'm going to click into the financial viability spreadsheet. This is an Excel file that we created as part of AgTransitions to help people who might have some different thoughts as far as the financial elements of transferring that business. So I'm going to just add in a few numbers here, and just gets us to that total total net farm income here. And anywhere it's yellow is where they would enter in loan payments, for instance, or cash inflows and outflows. The final screen is this really the nuts and bolts of how we break up different scenarios as far as the net farm cash flow. And so say we have two families, we have the parents, and maybe we have a daughter, and we're looking at the succession plan. And so we can add in different family living draws and different scenarios just to see how everybody's net family cash flow would look based on that succession plan. And you can do it up to 6 families, excuse me, at one time, and go ahead and enter those names and split that income out throughout different generations or individuals. So this is just another tool that can help people look through what that transition plan might look like. And again, on the sample, this one, we do have one sample, it's a dairy farm. And so that just gives people a way to look at what might be an example of a transition plan and think through that. As with AgPlan, Curtis did a great job of illustrating what comments and emailing reviewers looks like. And so if I leave a comment, maybe the financial viability spreadsheet here, or anything like that, I can add the comment and then everybody can see what I wrote. And so that can be a helpful way to communicate or work through this together. As with AgPlan, you can look at all of the comments within that plan. And so you can see the one comment that I left on the relevant section. As with AgPlan, I can add attachments that I would like, any PDFs. We also, just because some of the terminology associated with succession, estate planning, transition planning can be full of some legal jargon, we do have a glossary here just to help people out with that. And then a little bit of help built into AgTransitions does have the ability to do things like, if I go back to home and pull up a different plan, I did get a comment. Yes, I have two plans under the same name. That isn't an issue. It's just how it worked out in the case of my examples. But if I go into the Oliver Dairy, you can see that I have two PDF attachments, a balance sheet and an income statement. If I go back to the cover page, you can see I put in a picture here. Some people might like a picture of maybe some specialized equipment or a logo. And that you can insert that through the image manager in here. And like in AgPlan, like Curtis said, it's a basic word processor. And so I can underline things or strike through any of that, copy, paste, cut, add in tables, really make this my own and make it work for what I'm hoping to do. I'm going to go ahead and print this. You can do it as a PDF or a Word document. And so if I go ahead and print that plan and pull it up, this is the PDF that it gives me. And if I click through it, I have this really nice table of contents, and I can actually click into the various sections. And so I just clicked into the vision and goals here. But the cool thing about this, like in AgPlan, is if I go down here to the bottom, I talked about that balance sheet and income statement. They're right here. Those PDFs get pulled in, which is a really nice way to compile some of that information here. And so with that, AgTransitions, again, if something happens and I don't want that reviewer to still have access, I can revoke that access for whatever reason. So you get to choose how much that you share your plan and with whom you share your plan. So with that, Curtis, do you have anything to add, or would you like to move on to the interpreting and developing financial statements?
Yeah, and Rachel did a great job of really highlighting AgTransitions. I know she's worked hard on it over the last couple of years. And as you can see, there's a lot of similarities in between AgPlan and AgTransitions. And as you're working with beginning farmers, or if you're a beginning farmer yourself, these are great places to start. And AgPlan really is the writing of the business plan so that you can explain to someone else what you're doing and why you're doing it. A lot of times the questions that we get of, should I have a business plan or should I have a transition plan? Writing it down and doing it in these types of venues has tremendous value because it just gets your ideas out on paper and it puts everybody on the same page. We've tried to build in some communication tools between the two so that you can interact around the tool itself. And that's really where we think the power of these tools really comes in. So no, are there any questions that you guys have for Rachel on AgTransitions? All right. If not, thank you, Rachel. And I'm going to start sharing my screen and we'll talk about the last tool that we have, or the last resource that we have to talk about today. And one that really is kind of fits right into the bailiwick of what the Center for Farm Financial Management does. We like to say, or I like to say, that CFFM has a tool for someone or at any point in their farming journey, whether they are exploring farming or whether they are transitioning out, like what we just saw with AgTransitions and with what Rachel said. Once we get to the IFSAM portion of what we're talking about, and IFSAM really stands for Interpreting Your Financial Statements and Measures. What we're trying to do with this course, and we have this developing portion that we just added this year, but we're trying to help people understand what records to keep, how to do accrual financial statements so that we can get at some of those ratios that are used by the Farm Financial Standards Council and used kind of industry wide whenever it comes to farming financials and things like that. It helps people like me, people like you, kind of understand what they're trying to do and what is going on in the farm and the financials. And really, the financials to me are just a map. Everything that happens on the farm is somewhere in those financials. So with this course, developing and interpreting your financial statements and measures, you can find this at ifsam.cffm.umn.edu. That's ifsam.cffm.umn.edu. And then here, once you're here, we actually have the two courses. So IFSAM itself, the interpreting portion of this course, has been around for 10, 15 years, where we've actually been helping people understand how to interpret their farm financial measures. But what we've kind of seen, and with beginning farmers, just kind of in general, not specific to any particular type of farm, is that people, when they first come into farming, they're not necessarily understanding how to put these things together. So if I start with our developing portion, Rachel and I actually recorded, along with Pauline Van Nerden from our office, recorded the developing financial statements and measures. And then in here, if I click into that, again, you can read a little bit. And actually, let me stop. Let me share my sound with this, because that might become important. But within each of these, we have these major headings, just an introduction, talking about the course itself, accounting and record keeping, balance sheet, income statement, statement of owner's equity, statement of cash flows, the ratios, and then pulling it all together. I'm going to click into the pulling it all together first I'm going to click into the balance sheet, just because it's our most expansive. But each of these, I'm not going to hear my own voice yet. As we come into these are videos on just what we're looking for in the balance sheet. So if you have a question on what is a current asset, we have a video on that. If you have prepaid CSAs, we have a video on how you handle that on the balance sheet, because there are some specific things that go into how do we do that. And then with each of these major sections, we have a little bit of a quiz, because we want to be able to build these things, build that knowledge gap up and fill that knowledge gap. So if I click onto that, and I'm just going to warn you, there will be a sound here, so hopefully it's not too loud, but I'm going to click on the play button so that we can kind of walk through this course. And as you click on that, the sound comes through, and then we come into the question. So the question here is the balance sheet is, and then you just select however many are appropriate for that one. So, and then we just have sounds for each of those. And then with each of them, we have an answer kind of explaining how we got to that. And then with this one, I think there are 5 questions that are there. The other thing, I'm going to click back on where it says developing financial statements and measures. That will take me back to the main list. And I'm going to go into pulling it all together. The other thing that I'll note is that if you just hit previous or next, it will take you through.
Hi, I'm Pauline Van Nerden.
It will take you through each of the videos. So you can just keep clicking next and it'll take you to the next video. The pulling it all together, really, this is one of our key things that we wanted to focus on with this course, is that it's great to put all these together, but what do you do with it? And before we actually get to the interpreting financial statements course, where we're actually talking about how to interpret those, we actually have a former lender on our staff, in Pauline Van Nerden. So what we did is we worked together and really had her put her lender hat back on. And how do we use this information? How do you work with your lender to take this information and use it to your advantage? So that's what the pulling it all together is. This actually does show up again in the interpreting side, but you can kind of see how this all works. So with the question that I just got of how long are the financial statements videos, there might be a couple that are longer than 5 minutes, but we really, here at CFFM, when we do online training, you will see that we'll have hundreds of videos in some cases. I think about our FinPack online training series that we have. There's something like 350 videos that we have available because we want to keep them short. We want people to be able to come in, get their information really quick, be able to figure out what they're doing, and then continue to move on. So that's kind of why you see, if I go back to our main section here, you can see that we have 24 videos in the balance sheet just because they're all pretty short. We want, again, to be able to help people be able to come in, find what they're needing, or if you've taken any online courses over the last year, you might get 45 minutes in and then get interrupted, and then you have to try to figure out where you're at again. Well, that's one of the other things that we're trying to mitigate with this. So I'm going to click back on the IFSAM logo here to take me back to the front screen, and then I'm going to talk about the Interpreting Financial Statements course. So if I click on that, this course is a little bit lengthier. But what we are doing in this course really is walking through how do we interpret these numbers? How can we use all of the financial statements that we just put together in the Developing Financial Statements course? How do we take that and we use that to our advantage? And so Dale Norquist, Bob Craven, and Pauline Van Nerden walk through what you can, how do we explain the statement of owner's equity? A statement that's not really used that much in agriculture, but it has some tremendous value. And then we get into the ratios. So if you have a weak current ratio, how do you improve it? Those are some of the things that they talk about in each of these sections. And within each of these sections, we have a test your knowledge again here. So again, trying to build up that knowledge that we work on. So again, if I click on that, just to give you an idea of what the quiz questions looks like here. So if it says if a farm is liquid, it means that A, they are unable to meet their near-term financial obligations. They have lots of debt, which is B. C, they are able to meet near-term financial obligations, or D, they have too much cash. So in this case, they're able to meet it. And then you can just kind of see what the other ones are. So, and then again, we have the answer explained for each of those. So in all, I don't remember how many videos that we have here, but again, we try to keep things short. We try to keep things fresh and moving as we go through it. But again, this is really the IFSAM and the developing and interpreting portions. These really are some of the bailiwicks of what we do here at the Center for Farm Financial Management. So do I have any questions out there about this course? Again, here, let me actually just go ahead. I'll put up my PowerPoint again, just so you can get that link. That's at ifsam.cffm.umn.edu. All right.
And those links are also in the chat if you're wanting to copy them and save them.
Right. Thank you, Rachel. And I'll send that out again. When I send out the recording of the webinar, I'll send those links out again so you can get to them. The other thing, and we're not going to talk about it because we've done several videos or several webinars about this, but farmanswers.org, you can find all of these links available at farmanswers.org, which is the Beginning Farm and Rancher Development Program Clearinghouse website. So it's got a resource. In fact, as I was writing something last week, we have over 5,500 documents that are beginning farmer focused. So you can go and actually find all of the resources that you could want. Again, I'm not going to talk about it here today, but a great resource to send beginning farmers and ranchers to. If you yourself have a resource or something like that you would want to add to Farm Answers, just let me know, and then we will work to get it added into farmanswers.org. Okay, so